Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Imagine, just for a moment, the faint amber glow of morning light spilling across a city still wrapped in slumber. Mist curls along narrow, cobbled streets, curling gently around wooden doorways. The faint scent of damp stone and soot drifting softly through the air. The Thames murmurs in the distance, a gentle, constant presence beneath the slow awakening of towers, chimneys, and thatched roofs. Welcome, dear listener, to Tudor London, a city of whispering alleys, bustling markets, and quiet backstreets that hold secrets of ordinary life that persisted for centuries, unseen and almost forgotten. Tonight, we drift together through the haze of history, stepping gently into the rhythms of a city alive with smells, sounds, and people who lived and breathed in ways both familiar and distant from your own. Let us wander through its streets with soft footsteps, attuned to the subtle details that history leaves behind. From the glint of morning dew on timber to the faint, earthy aroma rising from hidden corners. Here, in the heart of this city, you will meet the Gong farmers, humble, indispensable, often overlooked, who walked among the alleys and courtyards of London, gathering the waste of the city to keep its streets livable and its people healthy. They moved in silence, their carts heavy with secrets, and their hands familiar with the textures and scents of life's most private byproducts. And yet, their work was crucial, connecting the pulse of the city to the unseen rhythms of sanitation, public health, and survival. Imagine walking alongside them, feeling the rough-hewn wood of the cart under your fingertips, hearing the soft clink of tools against iron, smelling the pungent aroma that mixes with smoke, river, and the occasional Thames of bread baking nearby. There is a rhythm here, a quiet cadence that is not harsh or startling, but measured and intimate. A reminder that every life, every task carries meaning, even when it is hidden from sight. Take in the skyline of Tudor London, timber-framed houses leaning against each other, their beams darkened by smoke and rain, narrow streets that twist and turn like ribbons, chimneys exhaling quiet puffs of warmth into the mist. Watch as merchants arrange their wares at market stalls, the scent of herbs, dried fish, and honey blending in the cool morning air. Hear the distant clatter of hooves on stone, the occasional bark of a dog, the soft chatter of early risers greeting the day. In these streets, the Gong farmers are like shadows, moving with purpose yet unnoticed, their presence a vital harmony in the city's slow, complex symphony. Their work begins at dawn and stretches through the morning, collecting human waste from the privies and cesspits of homes, taverns, and palaces alike. They are the keepers of a hidden world, guardians of cleanliness and health, quietly shaping the safety and rhythm of the city. Imagine the textures under their hands, the rough edges of wooden privy seats, the worn leather of buckets and straps, the cool, damp stone lining old cesspits. Each sensation is vivid, grounding, yet softened by the gentle narrative of the day, beginning in a city that must be both lived in and cared for simultaneously. And though the work is pungent, even overwhelming at times, it is executed with a rhythm and skill that transforms it into something almost meditative. A repeated, deliberate set of movements that keep the city's pulse steady. Consider, too, the contrast between what you see and what they see. Above, the city stretches upward with its chimneys, its towers, its windows catching the dawn. Below, in the private, enclosed spaces of homes and alleys, the Gong farmers navigate darkness, collecting what others avoid. There's poetry in this duality, the city alive in sunlight and shadow, in open streets, in secret corners, invisible beauty and hidden labor. Step with me now into one of these mornings. The air is thick with mist and the faint tang of the river. A Gong farmer tightens the leather straps of his cart, running a hand along its worn edge, listening to the soft creak as it shifts. You notice the careful precision with which he moves, lifting, lowering, balancing small gestures, repeated, practiced, essential. Each tap of the shovel, each careful lift, each whispered coordination with an apprentice or colleague is part of a quiet ritual, almost musical in its consistency. You can almost feel the soft, wet earth of London beneath your shoes. Hear the water trickling through channels beneath the streets. Smell the faint smoke of fireplaces and braziers mixing with the ever-present river air. All of this, the sights, the textures, the scents, creates a living, breathing tapestry of life in Tudor London. A world that seems distant, yet intimately familiar as you drift further into its dreamlike rhythm. Notice the city itself, waking slowly in stages. Roofs and chimneys catch the first pink light of dawn. Shopkeepers lift shutters, revealing fresh breads and vegetables, herbs and textiles, glistening with dew. Children step cautiously from doorways, giggling softly as they chase each other along the alleyways. Dogs stretch and yawn, tail brushing cobblestones wet with mist. Through it all moves the quiet figure of the Gong farmer, the unseen hand ensuring the city's hygiene, the invisible heartbeat keeping the pulse steady. This is a city of contrasts, beauty and odor, light and shadow, visible joy, and hidden toil. And in this balance, you are invited to notice the poetry of human life in all its forms. The Gong farmers, though engaged in tasks we might consider unpleasant, embody a rhythm, a diligence, and a care that echo through history. They remind us that even the most overlooked labor carries meaning, and that every act of service, no matter how small or hidden, shapes the lives of countless others. As you continue to breathe slowly, gently, imagine moving alongside them, noticing the small details, the glint of metal tools in soft morning light, the worn handles of buckets, the faint marks on cobblestones from repeated footsteps. Hear the hushed voices of apprentices. Feel the subtle sway of the cart as it moves. Notice the damp air clinging to your skin. Allow yourself to be enveloped in this layered sensory world, where even the most humble work becomes a meditation on life, duty, and the quiet poetry of human existence. Here, in the streets, you see that history is not made only by kings or battles. It is also made by those who rise before dawn, who carry heavy loads, who perform their duties with careful attention to detail and unwavering patience. They are the pulse beneath the city's heartbeat, the quiet force that sustains life, health, and rhythm. And tonight, as you drift deeper into the world of Tudor London, you are walking beside them, observing, feeling, and listening, not as a historian, not as a scholar, but as a quiet witness to the poetry of ordinary life. Take one more deep, slow breath, feeling the mist, the cobblestones, the wooden beams, the subtle scent of smoke and river, all intertwining in this dreamlike morning. Let your mind settle here, with the city stretching around you, alive with light, scent, sound, and the quiet, essential labor of the Gong farmers. And as your eyelids grow heavier, allow yourself to drift further into this rhythm. The city waking, the river flowing, the carts creaking softly, the labor moving in delicate, meditative cycles. Welcome to Tudor London. Welcome to a morning that begins with care, with diligence, with life hidden and yet vital. The city stretches before you like a living tapestry, woven from timber, stone, and river mist. Step carefully along the narrow lanes, letting your senses attune to the subtle details that whisper of a time both distant and vivid. Tudor London rises in layers, houses leaning into one another for support, their upper floors jutting over cobblestone streets, as though the city itself is curling inward, shielding its secrets and stories from the chill morning air. Listen closely, and you can hear the layered hum of life. Hooves strike the stones in a measured rhythm, carts creaking under their loads of bread, timber, and textiles. In the distance, the Thames flows, dark and reflective, carrying the soft rattle of boats and the occasional splash of oars. Waterfowl drift along its edges, wings brushing the surface. And the smell of the river mingles with smoke rising from chimneys. Fresh earth from market stalls and the faint tang of the city's hidden refuse. The streets themselves are alive, serpentine ribbons winding unpredictably between buildings. Some are wide enough for a cart and a horse, others narrow, almost secret, forcing you to squeeze past shuttered doors and leaning walls. Observe the textures: worn cobblestones, smooth from centuries of footsteps, the rough-hewn timber of overhanging beams, the patched plaster of walls weathered by rain and sun. Light filters through gaps, casting soft, angled patterns across the streets, illuminating the mist in delicate beams. In the marketplaces, the rhythm of commerce flows softly yet steadily. Merchants arrange their goods with care. Baskets of apples, pears, and root vegetables glistening with morning dew. Stacks of dried fish exuding faint briny scent. Bolts of cloth dyed deep indigo and red, catching the weak sunlight. The air is a symphony of aromas, blending spice, smoke, wet straw, and the faint sweetness of baking bread. Here, the city is at once orderly and chaotic, vibrant yet meditative, alive with gentle motion. Step into a side alley and notice the quieter spaces. Here, life continues at a different pace. Laundry hangs from lines stretched between buildings, swaying lightly in the morning breeze. Water drips slowly from wooden spouts into small barrels, carrying echoes of the river. Children chase one another with soft laughter, their shoes tapping lightly against cobbles. The scents here are earthier: damp wood, the faint temps of herbs drying in small baskets, the ever-present odor of the river beneath the city. Above, the skyline rises unevenly. Chimneys release thin curls of smoke that mingle with fog and sunlight. Bell towers punctuate the horizon, chiming the hours with measured cadence, calling attention without urgency. From these heights, one can see the intricate patchwork of rooftops, gardens tucked behind houses, courtyards hidden behind doors. Even in a city built close and tall, there are spaces of quiet, hidden retreats, offering glimpses of gardens, small streams, or shaded benches where a citizen might pause. The Thames itself is a spine of life. Boats glide silently along its surface, carrying goods or passengers. Fishermen cast lines with practiced patience, their hands familiar with the river's moods. Along the banks, small wharves and warehouses hum with the gentle motion of work. Barrels rolled slowly across planks. Nets shaken out, ropes coiled neatly. The water glistens with reflected light, and the faint smell of mud and salt carries softly. grounding the senses in the slow, rhythmic pulse of the city. Notice the people as they move through these spaces. There are merchants with aprons dusted in flour or clay, their hands calloused yet precise. Artisans pause to shape leather, wood, or metal, fingers tracing curves and edges, working with both care and routine. Children run along walls, their laughter a soft bell, sometimes startling a bird into flight. Elderly residents lean on carved wooden sticks, eyes following the flow of life, lips lifting in gentle recognition or quiet amusement. Each individual adds to the city's rhythm, their presence woven together in an intricate pattern of motion, sound, and scent. Smell the complexity of Tudor London, the smoky tang of hearth fires, the sweetness of freshly baked bread, the sharpness of herbs and dried fish, the earthy damp of streets after a morning rain. Even the hidden odors, the waste in alleys, the compost in gardens, a river's undertone of muddar, part of this sensory landscape. They ground you, reminding you that life in this city is lived fully with all its contrasts and textures. Pause for a moment to feel the weather, the way it interacts with the city. Mist softens edges, blending rooftops and towers into a muted watercolor. Sunlight filters, gently warming stones, wood, and the faces of early risers. A soft breeze carries scents and sounds, brushing your skin and lifting strands of hair, connecting you to every corner of this vibrant city. Even rain, when it comes, falls like a delicate curtain, tapping on rooftops and cobblestones, pooling in small rivulets along streets, reflecting lamplight or sunlight in miniature mirrors. The architecture is a testament to centuries of adaptation. Timber-framed houses lean as though whispering to one another, overhangs creating soft shadows across streets. Windows are small and multi-paned, their glass slightly warped, catching light in subtle ways. Doors are carved with simple patterns or left plain, each telling a story of the family or tradesperson within. From the smallest row of houses to the grandest hall, the layering of generations, the quiet patience that built an entire city. Notice the sounds of daily life, the faint scraping of tools, the murmur of conversation, the distant hammering of repairs, the splash of water against riverbank planks, even the clatter of a cart moving over stones, measured and familiar. Birds add intermittent notes, and above all, there is the quiet, constant rhythm of life. Slow, deliberate, and deeply human. Inhabitants of this city are always in motion, yet their movements are not frantic. Shopkeepers sweep early morning dust from thresholds. Servants carry water in small pails, their steps measured. Artisans adjust their wares in preparation for buyers. Children skip along, learning the city's rhythms through play. Each gesture contributes to the city's living heartbeat, a meditative pattern that underpins the entire urban tapestry. You might notice the interplay of spaces, public and private. Courtyards tucked behind walls offer refuge and quiet. Taverns open slowly, the aroma of warming ale curling outward. Privies and waste channels are hidden yet essential, maintained by the unseen labor of Gong farmers, ensuring that even the unseen aspects of life continue without disruption. The city is alive, not only in its visible movement, but in its subtler rhythms, the shifting of light and shadow, the rise and fall of mist, the gentle chime of bells marking hours, the rhythmic murmur of the river, and the deliberate pace of those on the early hours. This is a city experienced in layers, each sense revealing another thread of its quiet poetry. As you walk slowly through Tudor London, you are invited to breathe with the city, letting your awareness soften into its rhythm. Notice the texture of stone underfoot, the subtle scent of the river and hearths, the quiet hum of conversation and commerce. Let your imagination trace the intricate weave of life, from the simplest back alley to the busy market, from the silent banks of the Thames to the overhanging gables that shelter generations of families. This is the world into which our story of Gong farmers unfolds. City, vibrant and alive, yet delicately balanced. You will soon follow their footsteps, moving through alleys and privies, observing the care, skill, and quiet bravery with which they navigated the hidden layers of daily life. But for now, simply rest here in the soft embrace of the city's awakening, letting the sights, sounds, textures, and scents guide you deeper into a dreamlike experience of Tudor London. Step softly into the morning now as the city fully awakens. The streets are alive with measured energy, the gentle murmur of human activity rising like a low tide. You can feel the pulse of the city beneath your feet, each footstep, wheel, and hoofbeat part of a vast, intricate rhythm. Tudor London is not merely a backdrop. It is a living organism, and you are walking alongside its beating heart. The marketplace hums softly with life. Merchants display wares with care, arranging baskets of apples, pears, and root vegetables in gentle pyramids, their colors muted by morning mist. Spices and herbs hang in bundles, the aroma drifting in soft waves across the cobbles. Listen as buyers haggle quietly, voices blending into the soft clatter of coins, and the occasional scrape of a basket. Each transaction is a moment of exchange, not only of goods, but of stories, gestures, and trust. The River Thames moves slowly, a reflective ribbon threading through the city. Along its banks, barges and small boats float with the current, carrying grain, timber, barrels of ale, and textiles. Fishermen pull nets with gentle rhythm, their arms rising and falling like metronomes. And the faint smell of brine and mud lingers in the air. Water carriers, moving with careful balance, navigate the banks and narrow streets, their pails swinging in harmony with their steps. Farmers travel into the city, bringing produce from the surrounding countryside. Imagine fields of wheat swaying in soft sunlight, cattle lowing lazily as morning dew clings to grass. Farmers load carts with eggs, cabbages, and root vegetables. The soft creak of wooden wheels on stone streets blending with the murmur of conversation. Their clothes are simple and worn, earth-stained, smelling faintly of hay and soil. You can almost feel the roughness of burlap sacks and the stiffness of woolen cloaks, textures that speak of hard work and daily rhythm. In the streets, craftsmen shape their world with deliberate care. Blacksmiths hammer metal in steady cadence, sparks flicking briefly in the soft dawn. Cobblers shape leather with patient hands, tracing patterns with sharp awls. Weavers, using simple looms, move their shuttles back and forth, creating cloth that will become garments, tapestries, or simple coverings. Each trade has its rhythm, a soft choreography that joins with the city's greater flow. Children add a playful note to this morning symphony. Their small feet tap lightly against stone, chasing one another through alleys, peering curiously into shops, or following parents along market stalls. Their laughter rises and falls like wind through trees, blending with the murmur of commerce, the splash of water, and the occasional tolling of distant bells. Even the youngest have a role, gathering fallen fruit, sweeping doorways, or helping carry bundles. Each task small, yet meaningful. The air is filled with the aromas of the city. Smoke from hearth fires curls upward, blending with the scent of fresh bread, roasting meat, and earthy vegetables. The river adds its temps of mud and brine. Hidden beneath it all, subtle layers of the city's refuse, compost, waste, and the work of Gong farmers contribute a deeper, pungent scent, grounding the city in its organic reality. These smells tell a story as sight or sound, a layered narrative of life and survival. Consider the rhythms of work and movement. Shopkeepers lift shutters and sweep thresholds. Artisans adjust tools and wares. Water carriers navigate streets, and riverboats glide in measured arcs. Time is both mechanical and human. The tolling of bells marks hours. Yet, each individual moves in relation to their own needs, the weather and the flow of trade. This interplay creates a living clockwork, subtle and deeply connected to the environment. The weather plays its part as well. Mist softens edges, wrapping buildings and people alike in a gentle haze. Light filters slowly through clouds, highlighting cobblestones, timber beams, and river waves with soft, diffused illumination. Rain falls in thin sheets at times, creating reflections and pooling in hollows along the streets, carrying the scent of wet stone and soil. Even the wind participates, rustling leaves in hidden courtyards, lifting cloth from stalls and brushing softly against the city's occupants, reminding all that nature and human life are intimately intertwined. In quieter spaces, the city's private rhythms unfold. Households begin their routines. Women draw water from wells, tend hearths, and prepare meals. Children run errands, deliver messages, or sweep entryways. Men attend to trades, crafts, or office work. There is no hurry, only steady, deliberate motion. Each gesture matters, creating an intricate, shared rhythm that binds individual lives to the city's pulse. Notice the contrasts between rich and poor, visible yet unhurried. A merchant in fine clothing arranges silk and velvet, speaking softly to customers. Nearby, a laborer in simple wool and leather carries goods from cart to shop, hands calloused, brow damp with effort. Palaces rise in the distance, their towers catching sunlight, contrasting with humble row houses leaning closely together. Alleys winding like veins through the city. Even so, all these layers coexist in a delicate balance, forming a city alive with texture, scent, and gentle sound. The sounds of movement are layered and soothing. The scrape of wooden wheels, the tap of hooves, distant hammering. The soft murmur of conversation, the gentle lapping of river water. Even the occasional bark of a dog blends naturally, adding punctuation to the rhythm without disrupting the flow. Life moves in a slow, meditative cadence, each action connecting seamlessly to the next, creating a continuous and immersive soundscape. Even the less visible parts of life have their place. Alleyways carry water from homes, secreted refuse flows toward collection points, and Gong farmers prepare for their crucial morning work. These hidden layers remind you that the city is alive both in sight and in shadow, above and below, visible and unseen. There is a quiet poetry in the coordination of these rhythms, the invisible labor that allows visible life to flourish. Markets and streets continue their gentle choreography. Carpenters carve and sand. Blacksmiths hammer. Cloth sellers display bolts in subtle patterns. Children run between stalls, carrying small tasks from one parent to another. Smells of herbs, roasting meat, and smoke mingle seamlessly, and sunlight catches dust motes rising from cobbles. Every sense is engaged, yet the effect is calm, meditative, and hypnotic, as if the city itself were guiding you into a deeper awareness of rhythm and presence. As the morning deepens, the city grows more awake, yet still measured, still deliberate. Traders call softly, customers move quietly. The river reflects sunlight in steady glimmers. You can sense a continuity, a gentle flow that carries you forward, along with every step and every breath. This is the macro view of life in Tudor London, a network of trade, labor, and movement, synchronized yet flexible, dynamic yet gentle, alive yet calm. And now, as the city hums softly in its morning rhythm, you are ready to step closer to witness intimate moments of individual lives. The subtle textures, tastes, and emotions that define daily existence in this historic city. You are about to move from the city's broad pulse to its personal heartbeat, noticing how each life contributes to the grand, harmonious flow of Tudor London. Step softly now, away from the market stalls and broad riverbanks, into the quieter folds of Tudor London. Beyond the hum of trade and the steady rhythm of commerce, the city unfolds in smaller chambers, doorways, kitchens, and hearths. Here, in these intimate spaces, you may see how people truly live, how they eat, how they speak, how they dream, and how they rest. Inside a modest home, the day begins with the crackle of fire in a small hearth. A woman kneels, coaxing flame from kindling with careful breath, her hands steady and practiced. The smoke curls upward, filling the dim room with a scent of burning wood. Bread dough, left to rise overnight, is placed into the oven, and soon the air carries the warm, yeasty fragrance of baking. A child rubs sleepy eyes, wrapping wool around small shoulders, while a father mends a simple tool, sharpening the edge of a hoe or repairing a broken handle. Their voices are quiet, murmurs of reassurance and routine. The textures of daily life are soft yet vivid. The rough weave of wool garments brushes against skin, warmed by the fire. The wooden table is scarred from years of meals and labors, yet smooth at its center where countless hands have rested. Earthenware cups feel cool to the touch, holding warm ale or milk. Straw is spread across the floor, replaced regularly to absorb spills and soften footsteps. You can almost feel the prickle of straw beneath bare feet, the warmth of wool, the weight of clay mugs. Meals are simple but sustaining. A pot of pottage simmers slowly, a blend of grains, root vegetables, and herbs filling the room with earthy aromas. On better days, a scrap of salted meat is added, releasing its flavor into the broth. Families gather, dipping bread into the pot, sharing in quiet togetherness. Each mouthful is more than nourishment, tea is continuity, a shared ritual that anchors them in the flow of time. The sounds of private life are gentle, muted compared to the bustling streets outside. The soft scraping of a wooden spoon in a pot, the faint whistle of wind slipping through shutters, the quiet laughter of children inventing games with pebbles or bits of wood, the hush of whispered prayers before meals or sleep. Even silence has texture here, in unhurried stillness, punctuated by the rhythm of breathing. The creak of beams, the faint crackle of the fire. Clothing, too, carries its quiet poetry. Linen shifts and woolen tunics, patched and mended, show care and economy. Stitches trace stories of repair, each thread a mark of attention and persistence. A cap is tied carefully beneath the chin. Shoes of leather are pulled on, rough but serviceable. Hands bear marks of labor, fingers reddened by work, nails rimmed with earth. Yet, within these small details, there is resilience, a quiet dignity in the daily tending of life. Children's lives are marked by play as much as duty. They chase one another through courtyards, play at mimicry of trades, or gather around to hear stories told by elders in low, rhythmic tones. Sometimes they hum songs passed down through generations, their voices blending into simple, hypnotic melodies. A child may carve a toy from a scrap of wood or weave a small figure from straw. These humble creations carry delight, their simplicity shining with meaning. In wealthier homes, the rhythm differs but shares a similar intimacy. A lady of the house oversees servants preparing a table, silver polished until it gleams in candlelight. Fabrics are richer here, velvet. They too carry texture and story. The air is perfumed with herbs and spices, with roasted meats and sweetmeats. A lute may rest against a chair, waiting for evening music. Yet, even here, within tapestries and carved beams, life retains its rhythm of care, of small gestures, of tenderness and continuity. The evening hours hold their own poetry. Lamps are lit, filling rooms with golden light. Shadows move across walls, gentle and flickering. Families gather again, recounting the day, telling stories, singing hymns or ballads. The air is filled with warmth and togetherness. Even as the world beyond grows dark, beds are prepared, simple pallets of straw or feather mattresses, covered with woolen blankets. Children drift into dreams as mothers whisper lullabies, voices soft and steady as waves. Religion, too, shapes intimate rhythms. A prayer before bed, a sign of the cross, a whispered hope for protection through the night. Churches may toll bells in the distance, their sound carrying across the city like a lullaby for all who listen. Faith is both public and private, both in grand cathedrals and in the quiet words murmured in shadowed rooms. Listen closely to the inner thoughts of these people. Their hopes are modest: a good harvest, health for their children, safety from sickness or fire. Their fears are simple, yet profound: hunger, disease, loss. Their joys are small but radiant: a loaf baked to perfection, a child's laughter, a new garment freshly sewn, a moment of stillness after labor. These intimate emotions are the heartbeat of the city, more powerful than its trade or politics, for they are what sustain life day by day. As night deepens, the city quiets. Fires burn low, casting soft glow across beams and rafters. Dogs curl at thresholds. Children sigh in sleep. Parents whisper last words before rest. Beyond the windows, the streets are hushed, footsteps rare. Only the occasional distant call or the lapping of the river breaking the stillness. This is the private world of Tudor London, its hidden rhythm, its gentle heart, its tender, fragile humanity. And as you linger here, in these quiet rooms, you realize that the city is not only its markets, towers, or palaces. It is also these small spaces: the smell of bread, the warmth of straw, the murmur of prayers, the rhythm of lullabies. It is within these details that the true life of London resides. Now, as the night settles fully, you are ready to move once more into the larger structures of the city, its streets, its buildings, its hidden corners. You will soon see not only how people live, but where, tracing the very fabric of the city itself. The city of Tudor London rises not only in its people, but in the bones of its buildings, the lines of its streets, the shapes of its roofs. Step into this landscape, and you will see how the city cradles life, how stone and timber form the stage upon which every day unfolds. The streets are narrow, winding, almost living in their own right. They twist and bend, sometimes no wider than a cart's length. Cobblestones press beneath feet, uneven and glistening after rain. In some alleys, the walls lean so close that neighbors might reach across and clasp hands through upper windows. Timber-framed houses jut forward, their second stories overhanging the first, creating shadowed passageways where the sun struggles to reach. The air here is thick with smells of hearth smoke, of cooking, of the earth itself. Each creak of a beam, each echo of footsteps fills the streets with their own living music. Houses are simple for the poor, built of wattle and daub, plastered with lime, their roofs thatched or tiled with clay. These dwellings lean slightly, weathered by rain and wind, but they hold warmth and life within their walls. Inside, the beams are low, the hearth central. Light filters through small, oiled parchment windows, soft and dim, creating a dreamlike glow. In wealthier homes, walls are clad with carved wood, rooms are larger, ceilings higher. Glass windows catch the sun and scatter it in colored fragments. Tapestries soften the chill of stone, while chimneys rise proudly, carrying the breath of countless fires into the sky. The city's heart beats through its churches and chapels. St. Paul's Cathedral dominates the skyline, vast and imposing, its spire reaching upward like a finger toward heaven. Bells ring out, their tolls marking the rhythm of day and prayer. Step inside and cool air wraps around you. The stone floor is worn smooth by countless feet, each step a story, each prayer a whisper folded into the air. Candles flicker in iron stands, casting soft halos of light upon carved saints and painted walls. Smaller parish churches, the city, each with its own congregation, its own intimate rituals. In these spaces, faith and architecture entwine, creating havens of stillness within the bustle of streets. Markets spill into open spaces, framed by timber structures that lean with age but endure with strength. Stalls line the squares, their canopies flapping gently in the wind. Above them rise guild halls, their facades carved with pride, announcing the trades they shelter: goldsmiths, drapers, fishmongers. Each hall is both a workplace and a monument, a symbol of craft and continuity. Walk toward the river, and you will find the bridge. London Bridge stands mighty and strange, lined with houses and shops, its arches carrying the ceaseless flow of life. The Thames surges below, restless and unending, while above, carts rattle, voices rise, merchants trade. Imagine standing there, the river breeze against your face, the sound of water below. The sight of endless roofs stretching across both banks of the city. This bridge is not only a crossing, but a world of its own. In quieter corners, you find cloisters and gardens. Monasteries once stood here, with stone walls enclosing quiet squares of grass, herbs, and cloistered walks. Though some are dissolved, their ruins linger, their arches framing the sky, ivy crawling across stone. Within these sacred places, architecture hums with memory, each wall a remnant of prayer and silence. Look also at the fortifications. The Tower of London rises in pale stone, its walls thick, its turrets commanding. Within lies a world of power and fear, of treasures and prisoners, of crows wheeling above. The walls echo with footsteps, with whispers of both ceremony and sorrow. Along the city's edge, remnants of old Roman walls still stand, folded into Tudor life, their stones weathered but enduring. Children climb them, moss coats them. Yet they remind all who pass that London has lived through centuries, each layer built upon another. At night, the city transforms. Lanterns glow in windows, casting golden light upon crooked beams. Shadows lengthen, stretching across walls, filling alleys with mystery. The architecture becomes dreamlike, softened by firelight, blurred by mist rising from the Thames. Towers loom gently against the sky, their outlines fading into stars. Churches hold their stillness, bridges hum with the last traffic of the day, and houses lean closer together, as if sharing warmth through the night. Every structure, from the humblest hut to the grandest hall, tells a story. Timber beams carry the scent of forests long felled. Stones whisper of quarries, of hands that carved and lifted them. Each nail, each tile, each pane of glass is a trace of labor, of skill, of time. These are not just buildings, they are vessels of memory, cradling the lives that pass within. When you walk through Tudor London in your mind, imagine tracing your hand along these surfaces. The cool smoothness of stone, the rough grain of timber, the softness of moss upon a wall. Hear the creak of doors, the toll of bells, the murmur of voices echoing through vaulted ceilings. See the colors, the pale gray of weathered plaster, the deep brown of beams, the gold of candlelight, the blue mist of river air. Feel how the city itself is alive, its architecture breathing with the rhythm of its people. In these structures, you sense not only shelter, but spirit. They are at once protective and expressive, both practical and poetic. They hold the weight of time, the beauty of craftsmanship, the hush of devotion, the echo of laughter, the sigh of sleep. They are London, standing steady through the centuries, cradling its people in both grandeur and humility. And as you rest here, seeing the city not as a distant past, but as a living presence, you are ready to wander deeper still into the emotional essence of the city, the tender thread that ties together its streets, its homes, its spirit. A city is more than its stones and streets, more than the sum of its bridges, markets, and spires. Beneath the timber and mortar lies something softer, quieter, yet more enduring, the emotional essence. The soul that hums through its people and their daily lives. To wander through Tudor London in the mind is to feel this pulse, gentle yet insistent, flowing like the Thames itself. There is first the feeling of belonging. In crowded lanes, among the cries of hawkers and the hum of wheels, there is comfort in the nearness of others. People lean from windows to speak. Children chase one another in alleys. Apprentices laugh together after long hours. Though the city is vast, life feels threaded, woven into one great fabric. This sense of closeness, of neighbor to neighbor, gives the city its warmth, like many candles gathered to make a single glow. And then there is the feeling of hope. For many, London is a place of beginning, a chance to make something new. The apprentice arrives from the countryside, carrying only a small bundle, stepping into a world alive with possibility. Merchants dream of fortune, scholars of knowledge, artists of beauty. Every ship that docks at the river brings whispers of distant lands, of spices, silks, ideas. Hope lingers in the air like the scent of bread baking, filling hearts with the promise that tomorrow may bring more than today. Yet hope is never without its twin fear. The city is crowded, uncertain, sometimes harsh. Fires spark in thatched roofs, spreading swiftly. Illness moves quietly through narrow lanes, carried on breath and touch. Poverty presses heavily. Hunger gnaws. The watchman's call in the night can stir unease, for it speaks of crime, of shadows, of dangers lurking unseen. But even fear becomes part of the city's essence. It strengthens community. To live in London is to face uncertainty, yet to continue with courage. There's also the quiet presence of faith. Bells toll not only to mark hours, but to call hearts toward something greater. Prayers rise from churches, whispered over meals, murmured at bedsides. In moments of joy or sorrow, the city turns to faith, seeking comfort in something unchanging. This trust in a divine rhythm steadies the people, softening their burdens, reminding them that beyond their struggles, there is meaning, there is light. Another emotion flows constantly through the city: curiosity. London hungers for knowledge, for discovery. In taverns, voices rise in debate. In studies, candles burn late into the night over manuscripts and maps. Children press their noses against shop windows, marveling at objects from faraway lands. Curiosity is the breath of the city. It questions, it seeks, it wonders. It makes the air restless, alive with possibility. Yet, beneath these larger feelings, there is also tenderness. In the smallest gestures, the city reveals its heart. A mother rocking her child by the hearth, a neighbor leaving food at another's door, an apprentice guiding an older man across a busy street. These quiet acts soften the roughness of life, wrapping the city in gentleness. Even in times of hardship, compassion glimmers like a lantern glowing in fog. The essence of the city is also carried in its sounds. Listen carefully, and you feel emotions woven into each note. The laughter of children rings with joy. The cries of market sellers carry urgency, but also a kind of song. The bells of churches bring solemnity, but also comfort. Even the silence of night, when only the river moves, holds a deep calm, as if the city itself breathes in rest. Each sound is an expression, a reminder that London is not stone alone. It is voice, it is feeling. There is also the sense of time's passing. In Tudor London, people live close to the cycles of nature and season. Sunrise brings work, sunset, rest. Festivals mark the year, each one carrying memory, laughter, tradition. The essence of time is not only in clocks or bells, but in the smell of harvest, the chill of winter fires, the blossoms of spring. To live in London is to live in rhythm, to feel time as both fleeting and eternal. Perhaps, most of all, the emotional essence of London is memory. Every street corner, every stone, carries echoes of what has been. People walk paths worn by countless others, unaware of the generations whose footsteps came before. Each house shelters not only its present family, but the lingering warmth of those who once lived there. The air holds stories, waiting to be felt rather than heard. Memory gives the city its depth, its layers, its quiet dignity. Together, these emotions, belonging, hope, fear, faith, curiosity, tenderness, sound, time, and memory form a tapestry. They weave through one another, never still, always shifting. The essence of Tudor London is not fixed. It is like the river, flowing and changing, yet always itself. It carries the joy of children, the weariness of laborers, the dreams of scholars, the prayers of the faithful. It is as gentle as candlelight, as vast as the sky above. Close your eyes and imagine holding this essence in your hands. It feels like warmth and weight together, delicate yet strong. It is not loud or dramatic. It is soft, steady, enduring. It whispers of resilience, of wonder, of the quiet courage of everyday life. And as you feel it, you realize the city itself is alive, not only in body, but in spirit. Let this essence wrap around you, as though the walls of London are not distant, but near, surrounding you with their calm. The city becomes not only a place you see, but a presence you carry. Its tenderness eases your heart. Its rhythm soothes your thoughts. Its memories cradle you gently, as if the city itself is keeping watch over your sleep. And so, with this emotional essence resting quietly within you. We can wander onward toward the transitions of day and night in the city, where the essence reveals itself through shifting light, sound, and mood. The life of Tudor London is not only measured in years or in history, but in the soft turning of each day. From the first light of dawn to the last hush of night, the city changes its face, its voice, its very feeling. To walk through its hours is to hear a long, gentle song, each note flowing into the next, never breaking, always weaving. At first light, the city lies quiet. A faint silver glow lingers on the Thames, and mist curls like breath above the water. The streets are hushed, empty, but for a few early risers, bakers stoking ovens, watchmen returning home, milkmaids with their pails. The air is cool, filled with dew, and in that freshness there is promise. Slowly, London stirs. Bells toll softly, echoing over rooftops. Shutters creak open. Smoke begins to rise from chimneys. The smell of bread drifts warmly through narrow lanes, mixing with the damp scent of morning earth. Children stir from sleep, their laughter beginning the day. It is a gentle beginning, not hurried, but like a slow unfurling, as though the city is stretching awake. There is a feeling of innocence in morning, hopeful, calm, uncluttered. The noise has not yet grown, and so each sound is clear. A bird's call, the river's lap, the quiet step of someone crossing the cobbles. In this hour, the city feels tender, like a child at waking, soft and full of wonder. By midday, the city is alive. The markets swell with color and sound, the bright red of apples, the shimmer of fish on stalls, the calls of vendors lifting above the hum of voices. Horses' hooves strike rhythm on stone, carts creak beneath their loads, and the river churns with barges moving goods. The sun stands high, spilling golden light onto rooftops, glinting on church spires. The warmth draws people outward, apprentices rushing errands, scholars carrying books, merchants counting coins, travelers passing through gates. Noon is the hour of purpose, of bustle, when all things move swiftly, when the city's pulse beats strong. In this brightness, London feels vigorous, confident, awake. There is energy in the air, a current that sweeps through the lanes and over the bridges, carrying with it laughter, argument, song. The city is no longer tender, but bold. Not a child, but a youth curious, eager, alive with possibility. As the sun begins to tilt, shadows stretch longer, softer. The streets, though still busy, take on a quieter rhythm. Merchants begin to pack their goods, Children return home. Weary apprentices finish their tasks. The air holds a sense of winding down, of work giving way to rest. The colors shift with the light. Roofs glow warmly. River water turns deep. The sky softens toward amber. In this time, the city feels reflective, as though pausing between effort and rest. People speak in gentler tones. Laughter becomes less hurried, and even the air itself seems to breathe more slowly. Afternoon carries a mood of gratitude, of stories shared, of the quiet comfort of returning home. The city no longer presses forward, but settles back, as though preparing itself for evening. As daylight wanes, London gathers close. Windows light with candles. Hearths flicker warmly. Families sit together, sharing food, stories, prayer. Taverns hum with song, with voices softened by drink, with the fellowship of neighbors. The streets quieten, yet still hold the glow of companionship, of life turning inward. The air smells of wood smoke, of stews simmering, of earth cooling after the heat of day. Bells toll again, marking the passing of hours, calling hearts toward reflection. Evening is not solemn, but gentle. It carries restfulness, comfort, and peace. The city, in this hour, feels like a hearth itself, glowing, steady, safe. Its bustle has passed, and what remains is warmth. London becomes not a youth, but a parent, gathering its children close, watching over them with quiet strength. When darkness falls, a hush spreads. The streets grow empty. The market stalls stand bare. The bridges lie quiet. The Thames reflects the moon, carrying its silver light gently downstream. Only the watchmen move steadily through the lanes, their calls echoing through the stillness. In this silence, the city feels vast, mysterious. Shadows lengthen, stars glimmer above, and the air holds a sense of wonder. Dreams begin to stir, not only in sleeping minds, but in the very atmosphere, the possibility of what tomorrow may bring, the softness of forgetting today's burdens. Night is the city's breath inward, its long exhale. Here, fear may linger, yet so too does serenity. The quiet is deep, not empty, but full, filled with rest, with reflection, with the tender holding of memory. And so, from dawn to dusk, from dusk to dawn, the city lives in rhythm, carries its own spirit, tender, bold, reflective, glowing, hushed. Together they form the cycle, the heartbeat of London, the gentle turning of its soul. For those who listen, these transitions are not only seen, but felt. The promise of morning, the vigor of noon, the gratitude of afternoon, the glow of evening, the calm of night. To drift with these hours is to drift with the city itself, letting its breath become your own. As you carry these rhythms within you, let them soften your own thoughts, your own heart. Feel the morning's innocence, the noon's strength, the evening's peace, the night's deep calm. And with them, you find yourself sinking gently, as though the city's day has become your dream. A city is not only towers, bridges, or markets, it is people. Each life a candle glowing against the dark. To walk through Tudor London is to glimpse these lives as though passing by windows at dusk, each small and ordinary, yet each carrying warmth, meaning, and memory. Before the sun rises, the baker's fire is already lit. Flour dusts the air like pale smoke, and the wooden table bears its weight of dough. With steady hands, the baker kneads, folds, and shapes, his arms moving in a rhythm learned from years of practice. The warmth of the oven glows against the cool of morning. Soon, the scent of bread drifts through the lane, soft, rich, comforting. Neighbors pass by, greeting him with quiet words, their baskets ready. For them, this bread is not only food, but assurance that the day begins with nourishment, with stability, with care. The baker himself asks for little. His joy lies in the crafting, the soft give of dough beneath his palms. In the sight of loaves rising golden, in the smiles of children who run home clutching fresh bread. He is not a man of wealth, yet his work feeds 100 souls each morning. In this, he finds contentment. On the narrow street, a child runs barefoot, her laughter ringing higher than the bells. She plays with a hoop made of wood, rolling it swiftly, chasing it down the cobbles. Her hair is wild, her cheeks flushed, her eyes full of light. She knows little of markets or politics, of wealth or labor. For her, the world is a string of wonders, a feather caught on the wind. The glitter of water in the gutter, the thrill of chasing pigeons into flight. She lives not in history, but unburdened, round, unburdened. Around her, the city continues its work. Yet she is its music, its innocence, its reminder that joy lives not only in achievement, but in play. To watch her is to remember the sweetness of being alive, the simplicity of laughter. At midday, the merchant stands among his wares bolts of cloths, polished trinkets. His voice rises above the hum, practiced, persuasive. He knows each face that passes, each gesture, each glance. He reads desire as one reads a map, guiding it toward his goods. Behind his eyes, however, lies calculation. He has bargained with sailors, argued with rivals, measured the risk of ships that may not return. Each coin he earns carries with it a story of labor, of uncertainty, of resilience. Yet, he is not only shrewd, but generous. At day's end, he will give coins to the poor who pass his stall, for he remembers a time when he had none. He lives between necessity and kindness, between ambition and memory. His portrait is one of balance, of striving, yet remembering, of holding both gain and gratitude. At the river's edge, a washerwoman bends over the water. Her arms are strong, her hands raw from labor. She beats linen against stone, the rhythm steady, the sound echoing with the splash of waves. The river cools her skin, carries away the soil, leaves the cloth bright and clean. Around her, other women work, their voices weaving together in song, in laughter, in complaint. This labor is not light, yet it binds them together. The washerwoman does not live with ease, but she carries dignity. Each cloth she cleans will touch another's life. A child's blanket, a merchant's robe, a scholar's collar. Though her work is unseen, it is necessary, intimate, woven into the fabric of daily existence. In a quiet room, away from noise, the scholar bends over his book. Candlelight flickers, casting shadows on the pages. His pen scratches softly, dipping into ink, moving carefully across the parchment. He is not wealthy, not powerful, yet he hungers for knowledge. Each word he copies, each passage he reads, feels like a window opening. He dreams not of gold, but of understanding, of glimpsing the mysteries of language, of nature, of faith. Outside, the city bustles, but within his chamber, time slows. He lives in silence, in thought, in the long patient search for wisdom. His work may never be known, yet it nourishes him, giving shape to his days. As night deepens, a knock sounds at her door. The midwife gathers her tools, cloths, herbs, a small lamp. She follows the messenger through winding lanes, her steps quick, her heart steady. In the dim chamber, she kneels beside a woman in labor. Her voice is calm, her hands sure, her presence a comfort. Hours may pass, cries may rise, yet she remains unshaken, guiding breath, soothing pain, whispering encouragement. When at last the newborn's cry fills the room, she smiles, weary yet radiant. In that sound is life renewed, the city's future secured, the miracle of continuity. The midwife does not seek fame, yet she carries a sacred role welcoming souls into the world, holding the first moments of countless lives. In her hands lies the beginning of every story. Not every part of London is busy streets or echoing bells. The heart of the city also holds pockets of quiet, tucked between walls, beneath arches, and beyond gates. These hidden corners are like pauses in a song, moments of stillness that give shape and meaning to the music of daily life. To walk there is to step out of time, to feel the world soften, to hear whispers instead of clamor. Beyond the stone walls of a monastery lies a secret square of green. The cloister arches frame it like a picture, and at its center stands a simple fountain, water falling with the gentlest murmur. The monks who walk here do so in silence, their steps soft upon the worn stones. They tend herbs, lavender, thyme, rosemary, not only for medicine, but for memory, for fragrance, for prayer. Birds nest in the ivy, bees hum among the blossoms, and the air itself seems to rest unhurried. In this garden, the city's noise does not reach. Instead, time slows into contemplation. You sense how even in the busiest age, people have always sought these small sanctuaries, places to breathe, to gather stillness, to remember that life is more than labor. Between two markets lies a narrow alley, often overlooked. At dusk, small lanterns are hung from ropes, strung across the way, their glow turning the shadows golden. The stones underfoot are uneven, the walls close, yet the light makes it beautiful. Few pass through, only neighbors, children chasing one another, or a weary traveler cutting through on his way home. But in this alley, conversation feels softer, laughter lighter, secrets safer. The lanterns sway gently in the wind, and their glow lingers in memory long after the night ends. This place is not marked on maps, yet for those who find it, it becomes a treasure, a corner of warmth in the vastness of the city. In the heart of London, hidden behind high-timbered houses, lies a courtyard few ever see. Its cobbles are worn smooth, its well stands unused, its benches shaded by a single ancient tree. Perhaps once it was filled with voices, children playing, women gossiping, neighbors greeting. Now it is almost empty, a place of echoes of memory. Grass pushes between stones, sparrows gather in the branches, and sometimes a stray cat stretches in the sun. To step here feels like stepping into another time, as if the courtyard remembers what people have forgotten. It is a place of rest, of gentle decay, of beauty that asks for nothing but stillness. In a corner of the city stands a small chapel, its door often closed, its windows narrow. Yet, when you step inside, you find peace waiting. Candles burn low, casting halos of light upon the stone. The air smells faintly of wax and wood, cool and hushed. Here, prayers linger in silence. Even when empty, the space feels full, though the walls themselves have absorbed centuries of whispered hopes, fears, and thanks. To sit here, even for a moment, is to feel the weight of stillness pressing gently, soothingly. You do not need words. The quiet itself becomes the prayer. By day, The bridge is crowded with carts and horses, its shops bustling with cries and bargaining. But at midnight, when the city sleeps, the bridge belongs to silence. The river glimmers faintly, the stars reflected in its slow current. Only the sound of water against stone, only the whisper of wind. You lean against the wooden rail and look down into the dark, feeling how small and how infinite life can be. This is not the London of markets or courts, it is the London of dreams, of solitude, of the quiet companionship of river and night. Few linger here at this hour, yet those who do carry the memory of stillness deep within them. When the last jug is emptied and the final song fades, the tavern rests. The fire burns low, casting red glow on empty benches. The air is warm with the scent of wood smoke and ale. The innkeeper sweeps slowly, humming to himself, his day's work done. Outside, the street lies dark, but within, there is a tender quietness, an exhale after laughter, a pause after noise. It is here, in the hush after company, that the tavern shows another face, not one of merriment, but of gentle completion. The silence is not empty, but full of echoes, of stories shared, of friendships forged. The city breathes because of the river. The Thames is not just water flowing to the sea, it's the pulse, the quiet current, the silver thread stitching together every life in Tudor London. By day, its banks are filled with labor. Boats creaking, ferrymen calling, goods lifted and lowered, barrels rolled and nets pulled from the water. By night, the river transforms. It becomes a mirror for the stars, a ribbon of silver winding through darkness, carrying reflections like dreams across its surface. You rise with the first light, and the Thames lies before you in pale gold. Mist hovers above the surface, soft and thin like a veil. Barges drift slowly, their sails catching the earliest touch of sun. The sound is hushed, the dip of oars, the creak of wood, the quiet call of a gull. Standing on the bank, you feel how this water has seen centuries pass, how it remembers every footstep upon its edge, every stone laid to build a pier, every whisper carried over its surface. The river moves, always forward, always onward, yet it holds the memory of everything it has carried. A small boat rocks gently, its ferryman leaning into the oars. His strokes are steady, practiced, the rhythm older than his own life. Those who sit in his boat listen in silence, letting the song and the current guide them. For a few moments, all worries fade, replaced only by the lapping of water and the melody that blends with it. Crossing the Thames is not just a journey of distance, but of mood, of spirit. The ferryman's boat is a cradle upon the water, carrying people not only across, but inward to a state of stillness, into a space where they belong to the river's calm. Later in the day, the banks fill with movement. Carts rattle down cobbled streets, ropes strain as cargo is lifted. Men call to one another across the din. Spices from far coasts, wool from English fields, timber, salt, barrels of alol pass through here. Yet, even in the noise of trade, the river remains steady. Beneath every shout and every splash, its current flows, untroubled, patient, eternal. It gathers the clamor into itself, smoothing it, carrying it away toward the sea. In the shallows, children play. They skip stones, chase one another, laugh when the water splashes against their legs. For them, the river is not commerce or toilet is wonder. They peer into the water, searching for darting fish. They cup their hands and lift the cool current to their faces. They shout, their voices echoing across the wide expanse, bouncing back like secrets returned. The Thames holds them, just as it holds the barges, the boats, the cargo. It is large enough for labor and laughter, for sorrow and song. And then, at night, everything softens. The river becomes velvet and shadow, dark but alive with light. Torches glow from boats moored at the banks. Candles flicker in windows that overlook the water. The sound is different now, the low sigh of tide, the occasional splash of fish, the whisper of wind through rigging. The air cools, carrying with it a damp, earthy fragrance, the smell of water and stone and time. Standing at the edge, you lean upon the railing, gazing out into the rippling dark. The Thames stretches into forever, into mystery. You can almost believe it flows not only through the land, but through dreams themselves, carrying them outward, onward, until they merge with the sea of eternity. Every story you have heard tonight, the Gong farmers in their night labor, the markets, the quiet courtyards, the alleys, the laughter, the prayers of it, in some way, touches the river. It has carried waste away and brought life in. It has been the stage for joy and sorrow, for labor and leisure. It is the unspoken companion of the city, always present, always moving, always remembering. The Thames is London's dream made liquid, London's soul given current. To rest beside it is to rest beside history itself. And so, dear listener, we come to the end of our long wandering through the streets and shadows of Tudor London. You have walked softly, seen quietly, listened deeply. You have stood beside workers, lingered in gardens, crossed courtyards, and now you rest beside the river that holds it all. Breathe slowly and feel how this history settles gently within you. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Only the rhythm of a city long past, whispering itself into your dreams. The stars hang above, their light shimmering upon the Thames. The city falls quiet, wrapped in its own sleep, while you to drift softly toward yours. Good night, dear traveler. Good night, quiet listener. Good night from the banks of the Thames, where history becomes lullaby and where your dreams begin.